I told you we'd be back.
And ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free.
It's Joey Hudson.
I wanted to name it the Joey Hudson bill, but, they don't allow you to put names on bills. But I wanted to call it the Joey Hudson bill because I know that one's been near and dear to you for a number of years.
That's how it's done. Let your voice be heard.
And the truth shall set you free.
Here's Joey Hudson.
Welcome into today's edition of Just the Truth. Glad to have you join me in the PhD Weight Loss and Nutrition Studio to lose weight for the last time. Visit myphdweightloss.com. Lots to cover. The Biden White House is opting to ditch the annual Christmas tradition of hanging stockings for President Joe Biden's grandchildren. This, of course, allows them to avoid devoting a decoration for the president's seventh grandchild, who he only recently acknowledged for the first time. Think about this. How far out of the way this family will go to ignore the seventh grandchild. Also, Karine Jean-Pierre was confronted by Fox News White House correspondent Peter Doocy on why she and President Biden continue to claim that things have improved with our economy, when you and I both know that's not the case. Fox News host Laura Ingraham has invited Florida Governor Ron DeSantis and former South Carolina Governor Nikki Haley to a debate on her show. Who do you think has accepted, and which candidate has been crickets so far? That's coming up. And speaking of Nikki Haley, poking some fun at my Carolina Gamecocks, suggesting that Trump's presence at Saturday's game didn't prove to be so lucky for the USC football team. 864-477-JOEY, 864-477-5639. You can leave me a quick voice message. You can text me your comments, and your emails are welcome as well, joey@joeyhudson.com. So let's start with the White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre, who issued a very terse, quick response when questioned yesterday over President Biden's sagging poll numbers and whether the administration had considered any staffing shakeups or a different strategy to combat them. I mean, it only makes sense, doesn't it, that if things aren't working so well, you make some changes, right? With a simple no, Jean-Pierre stared down the reporter asking the question. You know that look, the don't ever ask me that question again. Here's the exchange.
I suspect if we polled the room, many of us would probably ask some version of the following question. Okay. Given the president's sagging poll numbers and the fact that he is currently placing behind any Republican opponent, has there been any talk in this White House about a change in strategy or staffing going forward in reflection of those numbers to continue to show him underwater?
No. No. Just very dismissive. No. Her answer, of course, comes as Biden continues to face the almost impossible task of winning back enough support from middle America, those independents, ahead of next year's presidential election because of the economy. The old, it's the economy, stupid. A national poll released earlier this month by Marquette Law School shows that Biden is trailing former President Donald Trump, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, and former UN ambassador, former South Carolina Governor Nikki Haley in hypothetical matchups. All three of them beat Biden as it stands right now. According to the poll, Trump, who of course is the overwhelming favorite to win the GOP nomination, has a 52% to Biden 48% lead. Haley actually has a much wider margin when when polled face-to-face, challenging Biden. Her lead is almost 10%, 55% to about 45%. And Ron DeSantis also beats Biden 51 to 49%. The reporter went on to reference what appeared to be the call the White House Chief of Staff Jeff Zients held with cabinet officials over the summer, asking them to decide whether or not they plan to stick around for the remainder of Biden's term or if they were planning to leave early. Now, as you know, when you get close to the end of an administration, quite often people at that level start looking for jobs. They start looking for better opportunities. The White House just wanted to know, hey, are you going to stay with us, or do we need to be looking at someone to replace you? When she was asked, should we be anticipating any departures of either cabinet officials or other senior officials, that's when Jean-Pierre very quickly said no. She said, look, I can't speak to people's personal decisions. We don't have anything to announce at this time. We're going to continue to do the work that the president has set out to do. And then she went through the usual mumbo-jumbo of how seriously they take the job. She said, we just talked about supply chains. We just talked about the economy. We've been talking about the president's leadership globally, especially in the Middle East, she says. That's what we're here to do and focus on. That's what I'm here to do and focus on, she said. I just can't speak to people's decision. She always pulls that 3-ring binder out and starts reading from her prepared statement when a question like this comes up. But they weren't finished. It didn't end there, because next up was Peter Doocy from Fox News. Peter Doocy confronted Jean-Pierre about inflation, asking her why Americans aren't seeing the success that she and President Joe Biden keep talking about. Jean-Pierre, after beginning the press briefing with a statement about the Palestinian students who were shot in Vermont, which appears to be a hate crime, highlighted the continued decline in cost of several items as inflation slowly decreases, she said, citing White House economic policies as the reason that inflation is lowering. Doocy pushed back, asking Jean-Pierre why most Americans don't agree that things are improving, that most Americans did not see the decrease in their Thanksgiving dinner that Joe Biden talked about. She pulled out a chart showing some of the what she says are cost drops that she attributes to the Bidenomics program, and she saw what she considered was a sarcastic question from Peter Doocy as she continued to promote what she believes is the success of the Biden administration. Here's the exchange.
Thanks, Green. On lowering prices, you said earlier that the actions the president has taken have worked. So is it your sense that when people were home for Thanksgiving, catching up with their family members, they were saying to each other, can you believe how much more affordable things have gotten?
So honestly, I wouldn't, I hear the question, but I want to make sure this is very clear. We take that very seriously. We take what families, the decisions that they make at their kitchen table, whether it's during Thanksgiving or whether it is every month as they're trying to make hard decisions about how they move forward with taking care of their family. We take that very seriously. It's not a joke to us. It is important to us. This is the president who talks about it in a very personal way when he talks about what families have to go through, working families, middle-class families, and that's why he's taking actions that he has. And so, look, the fact is, the data shows that the economy is improving. The data shows that households remain in a strong financial position. Household wealth is at a record high, with lower income households seeing the largest gain since the pandemic. Those are indeed what we're seeing. But we don't take lightly. We do not take lightly what Americans and families continue to feel. That's why
they take this very seriously.
Is going to talk about what the actions that he's taking to continue to lower costs.
But why do you think it is that when you say the economy is improving and President Biden says the economy is improving, that a majority of Americans outside of this building are not buying it?
So here's the thing. When we walked into this administration, the economy was on a tailspin. That is the fact. Because of the last administration, because of the Trump administration, because of how they dealt with COVID and the pandemic, because they didn't have a comprehensive plan. The president came in, he passed the American Rescue Plan, which was able to get the economy back on its feet, which was able to open up small businesses were able to open up, schools were able to open up, and we understand what Americans have been feeling over the last 2-3 years. It's going to take some time. We get that. It's going to take some time, but it does not take away how we have seen the economy getting back on its feet. We actually had to fix the problem that we saw that the last administration left us.
Yeah, that the last administration left them. They always blame it on Trump. They never even consider that the American Rescue Plan that she cited, that the Inflation Reduction Act that they're so proud of, that sending billions of dollars to other countries, that this may be part of the problem. That the inflation that we have experienced could be the result of this record federal spending that the Biden administration has done since he took office. It just seems that it never occurs to them that this could have caused the inflation. I mean, she actually believes this, doesn't she? Saying it's going to take some time. Oh, it's just going to take some time. Yeah, it's going to take some time. It's going to take some time for us to get through next year's elections and get Joe Biden out of the White House. 864-477-5639 is the Truth text line. Love to get your comments. You can call and leave a quick voice message as well. Speaking of the Bidens, I saw this story, and it really kind of shows you what kind of people the Biden family actually are. It's pretty amazing how far this family will go to not recognize that Hunter Biden fathered another child, a child that he denied for a long time, a child whose mom was a stripper that Biden had a relationship with. And this Christmas is no different. The White House, according to the First Lady today, the White House is opting to ditch the annual Christmas tradition of hanging stockings for President Joe Biden's grandchildren. You know, last year there was some controversy because they hung 6 stockings recognizing the 6 grandchildren that they claim. The question arose, well, what about the 7th? Because you do have 7 grandchildren. Well, this year they're just not going to put stockings up. I guess they believe that this will allow them to again avoid devoting a decoration for the president's 7th grandchild, who he only recently acknowledged for the first time. So rather than accept the fact that there's another grandchild, they just forego the annual stocking tradition. It's kind of crazy, isn't it? In a ceremony yesterday afternoon, First Lady Jill Biden unveiled the White House's 2023 Christmas decorations, which included various themed trees, rooms, displays. I mean, look, it's a big deal. I've been very fortunate to have gone to a couple of White House Christmas parties over the years. And it's quite amazing what they do with the various themes throughout the White House. However, in a departure from the 2021 and the 2022 displays, the fireplace in the White House State Dining Room was decorated without any stockings and instead with garland and toy soldier robots, according to the New York Post. The First Lady remarked yesterday, the holidays offer a time for reflection and a break from our hurried lives, a season to be fully present with our friends and our families. It's also a season of gratitude, she said. The First Lady described the decorations in the White House State Dining Room as bringing the magic, wonder, and the joy of the holidays, all together in a recreation of Santa's workshop. She failed, though, to mention that the Christmas stockings would be removed from the room's fireplace this year. There will not be 6. There will not be 7. There'll be 0. The decision to forego the stockings for Biden's grandchildren comes just 4 months after Joe Biden first acknowledged his 7th grandchild, Navy Joan Roberts. The first time he ever acknowledged her was back in July. Navy, who is 5 years old, is the daughter of Hunter Biden and ex-stripper London Roberts. Biden said in a statement back in the summer, "Our son Hunter and Navy's mother, London, are working together to foster a relationship that is in the best interest of their daughter, preserving her privacy as much as possible. This is not a political issue. It's a family matter. Jill and I only want what is best for all of our grandchildren, including Navy." The first time that he acknowledged that this child was his grandchild. The statement came after years of Biden ignoring the fact that he had 7 grandchildren instead of the 6 that he often referred to. At a White House Take Your Child to Work Day event back in the spring, Biden claimed then to have just 6 grandchildren. In a statement, he said, "I have 6 grandchildren, and I'm crazy about them, and I speak to them every single day. Not a joke," he said. Hunter himself has long denied being Navy Jones' father, but a 2019 DNA test proved otherwise. He has since fought to lower child support payments. Navy Jones was born in August of 2018, and Roberts filed a paternity suit in May of 2019. Both parties agreed to temporary child support following the DNA results. Hunter Biden and Roberts reached an agreement to settle their paternity and child support suit back in the spring of 2020, according to various newspapers. The case was then reopened after Biden requested changes to the child support payments. Back in June, Hunter settled his Arkansas child support case with Navy Jones' mother. A court filing showed that Hunter agreed to give his daughter some of his paintings, and the child's mother agreed to withdraw her counterclaim to change their child's last name to Biden. So he gave her some of his paintings. I guess probably with the understanding that they could be sold for a lot of money. I don't know. Why else would you want a painting from Hunter Biden? District of Columbia officials are complaining of how the crime rate has surged in our nation's capital. They need more police officers, they say, but they don't have the money to pay for them. But guess what they do have money to do? You're not going to believe this one. Portions of today's show brought to you by PhD Weight Loss and Nutrition. If you want to lose weight for the last time, let me encourage you to call and set up your initial appointment today, 864-252-4925. You can visit them online at myphdweightloss.com. I know what you're thinking. Well, Christmas is just a few weeks away. Couldn't possibly start this before Christmas. Well, this is a great time to start getting healthy. This is a great time to start losing some of that excess weight, some of that visceral fat that collects around your waist that is so dangerous to you. If you start now, if you make that call today and have your first consultation and get started on the program, by Christmas, you could have lost 10 pounds or more and start the new year, 2024, to getting better health. This is a great time to start it. 3 years ago, I lost 30 pounds, and I've been able to maintain that weight ever since because this is not a fad diet. I don't even consider it a diet. It's all about nutrition. It's based on the science of nutrition. If you're ready to get healthy again, if you're ready to lose that weight, if you're ready to get back into clothes that maybe you haven't worn in years, call and set up your initial consultation right now. 864-252-4925. Visit them online at myphdweightloss.com. PhD Weight Loss and Nutrition, the official partner of the Clemson Tigers. So officials in the District of Columbia spent more than $270,000 in taxpayer dollars on a project to repaint the 50-foot-tall Black Lives Matter slogan on a street near the White House. We know this because records were obtained by the nonprofit Judicial Watch and reported by the Epoch Times. The 25 pages of records obtained via the Freedom of Information Act requests, this was again filed by Judicial Watch, shows that the total price tag for the job of repainting the yellow phrase and the DC crest came in at a total of $271,231. The breakdown was paint and supplies cost just over $53,000. Labor cost just over $217,000. According to a memorandum of negotiations included in the obtained documents, shows that the project, which included repainting the sign and pavement restoration, called for a foreman, an operator, a laborer, carpenter, and mason. They needed a backhoe and loader, portable air compressors, bobcat, dump truck, pickup truck, and a service truck. The documents also indicate that the job of repainting the sign and other work took place between late September and early October of this year. Judicial Watch President Tom Fitton said in a statement, D.C. crime is out of control, but local leaders continue to waste $270,000 in tax money promoting the extremist Black Lives Matter movement in the heart of Washington, D.C. that is racist, anti-police, anti-American, and often violent. Officials at the D.C. Department of Transportation did not respond to requests from the Epoch Times. The Black Lives Matter mural was first painted in the summer of 2020, along with a section of 16th Street by a team of local artists, volunteers, and members of Washington's Department of Public Works and Department of Transportation after days of protest in the Capitol. You probably remember that well. The Capitol letters are 48 feet tall. They run from curb to curb, and the text is followed by an image of the flag of Washington, D.C., 2 horizontal bars topped by 3 stars. In June of 2020, Washington Mayor Muriel Bowser renamed that section of 16th Street to Black Lives Matter Plaza. Later, the installation was made permanent. Ms. Bowser said in a news conference at the time, "What we have to say to the young black youth is that they matter, we care about them, and we hear them, and we're listening to them, and we're trying to make all of our systems starting right here in Washington, D.C. more fair." Similar murals have been painted in other large cities like New York. The painted signs have sparked controversy, of course, in part because of the actions that Black Lives Matter organization, which claims that there's systemic racism throughout the United States and has led related protests, some of which have turned violent themselves. Founders of the movement have described themselves as trained Marxists. Polling shows that there's been a massive decrease in support for Black Lives Matter. And part of that is because of how they have managed the organization itself. Some of the leadership has literally spent millions of dollars purchasing homes for themselves. They raised like $90 million in a matter of a few months back when this all started, right after the issue in Ferguson, Missouri. A recent study shows that police killings declined in the aftermath of the Black Lives Matter protest. There was a jump in homicides, though. Now listen to this. This study shows that there has been less violence that involved police officers, but there's also been there's fewer police officers patrolling the streets, which has led to an increase in other crimes. The statement says, while police killings declined, homicides surged. The study shows during the 5-year period covered by the study, reported murders rose by 11.5%, which translates to more than 3,000 additional homicides. 3,000 more people killed. Your comments are welcome on the Truth text line, 864-477-5639. You can send me leave me a quick voice message. Your emails are welcome as well, joe@joeyhudson.com. I told you about the appeals court decision striking down a Maryland state law that would make it harder to purchase a handgun. Well, the Maryland State Police says that they're going to continue enforcing the state's handgun law for now, despite the federal appeals court ruling that the licensing requirement is unconstitutional. The department wrote in an agency-wide advisory after last week's ruling, quote, "At this time, the HQL law remains in effect, and there are no immediate changes in the process to purchase a firearm in Maryland." Now, Maryland's handgun qualification license, that's what HQL stands for, requires applicants to submit fingerprints so that they can do a background check. You have to take a 4-hour firearm safety course with a live fire component, and you have to wait up to 30 days for approval before purchasing a handgun, which then requires another application and another 7-day waiting period. So in theory, it could take you 37 days or longer in order to purchase a gun in Maryland. Last Tuesday, A 3-judge panel of the Fourth Circuit Court of Appeals ruled 2-1 that the law is overly burdensome and cannot stand under the 2022 landmark Supreme Court decision that a firearm regulation is unconstitutional unless the government can prove that it's consistent with the nation's historical tradition. Judge Julius Richardson, a Trump appointee, wrote in the court's majority opinion, quote, "The challenge law restricts the ability of law-abiding adult citizens to possess handguns, and the state has not presented a historical analog that justifies its restrictions. Indeed, it has seemingly admitted that it could not find one." But the Maryland State Police Licensing Division said that it's going to continue to enforce the law until the federal court issues a mandate. Basically, they're going to ignore the fact that the Court of Appeals ruled this way until the court tells them you have to do this. According to the Epic Times, Maryland officials have 14 days to file for a rehearing before the full appeals court. If the state does not file within that window, the court will issue a mandate 7 days later, which means the final court ruling could be as soon as December the 11th. Officials have not yet confirmed whether they plan to file for a rehearing or alternately seek a review before the U.S. Supreme Court. Maryland Governor Wes Moore said in a statement that he would continue to fight for this law and that his administration was evaluating its options. A spokesperson for the Attorney General, Anthony Brown, told Fox 45 News that they were weighing options for the next step. The NRA previously described Maryland's HQL as a draconian process, and they praised the Fourth Circuit ruling as a significant victory for the Second Amendment and Americans who value constitutional freedoms. The NRA's lobbying arm executive director, Randy Koshik, said striking down Maryland's oppressive handgun qualification license requirement affirms that the burdensome process infringes on the rights of law-abiding citizens. On the Truth text line, Andy writes, "Hey, Joey, I have a quick question. We agree on most everything. How was giving the Democrats a blank check with no spending cuts a big win for Mike Johnson?" Well, it was a win for Johnson simply because he did it and kept his job, unlike his predecessor who lost his job as Speaker. It wasn't a victory, though. At some point, and I guess we kind of give him a bit of time here to learn his way around, so to speak. But Speaker Johnson and other GOP leaders have got to step up. They have to step up, grow a backbone, and stop spending federal tax dollars like we have plenty to spend. Faye writes on the Truth text line, "Joey, thankful this election year so these previous children could be released. We must remember Biden gets excited about aborting babies and just recently acknowledged one of his own grandchildren. Everything decent he does has political motives, sorry to say." Faye, I think you're probably right when it comes to Joe Biden. Yesterday's happiness question. I asked you what it would take to make you happy. A recent study showed that most Americans agreed that if they had a certain dollar amount, and that ranged anywhere from $1 million to $2 million, that they would be happy. Jeff on the Truth text line wrote, "I'm a Generation Xer. At $1.2 million, I would be very happy," he said. I replied and asked Jeff if he would keep his job. He replied he definitely would keep working. Our positive, encouraging text for the day: "Life is like a coin. You can spend it any way you wish, but you only spend it once. God bless." Thank you. Appreciate that. 864-477-JOEY, 864-477-5639. Your comments are welcome on the Truth text line as well. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis accepts a invite from Fox News host Laura Ingraham to debate former Governor Nikki Haley. The question is, will Nikki Haley do it? Will she accept? Portions of today's show brought to you by Discounted Appliance Warehouse. Are you tired of buying appliances from inexperienced sales staff with no appliance knowledge? There's so many different options. There's many different brands and features. It's tough to figure it out at times, isn't it? And especially if you don't have someone to help you. And appliances are so expensive, you can't afford to buy the wrong one. That's why I recommend shopping at Discounted Appliance Warehouse. They have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating, nearly perfect reviews on Google, and the team at Discounted Appliance Warehouse has the knowledge you need to have confidence in your purchase. They'll show you around the warehouse. It's 11,000 square feet with about 1,500 appliances ready for you. They have an award-winning service department, extended warranties, and they have you covered well past the sale with their service department. Check out their Overstock Appliance Center in the Market at the Mill for clearance pricing. Discounted Appliance Warehouse is worth the short drive to Pickens. Find them online at dawpickens.com. So, Republican presidential candidate and Florida Governor Ron DeSantis criticized rival Nikki Haley for declining to debate him on Fox News, a move that the Republican National Committee has already said would disqualify candidates from any future sanctioned debates. Earlier this month, Fox News host Laura Ingraham offered to host DeSantis and the former South Carolina governor. She wanted to have what she called a debate on the Ingraham angle on the Fox News network. DeSantis declared on social media, "Count me in." Haley's campaign, meanwhile, has not responded. The RNC has already put the kibosh on such events. Last month, the GOP presidential candidates Chris Christie and Vivek Ramaswamy were set to appear on Fox News in a debate moderated by Bret Baier. As the New York Times reported at the time, according to a person familiar with the discussions, the RNC told candidates if they went through with the one-on-one event that they would not be allowed to participate in future RNC-sanctioned debates. To participate in sanctioned RNC debates, candidates must promise to participate in only primary and general election debates that have been sanctioned by the RNC. Fox did not advertise the Christie-Ramaswamy event as a debate. Instead, they called it a candidate's corner. Ingram's invitation to Haley and DeSantis, on the other hand, specifically referenced it as a debate. In the exchange, Ingraham asked DeSantis last night, "Why do you think Nikki Haley has not responded yet?" Here's Governor DeSantis.
Leading in Iowa. He's at 47% in the Hawkeye state, according to the RCP average. His closest competitor is Ron DeSantis. Of course, the governor of Florida, he's at 17%. Nikki Haley trailing in third with 14. It's not really surprising that Haley, because of where the things stand, has turned her sights on DeSantis. According to one top campaign finance expert, her super PAC has spent $3.6 million against the Florida governor. That's $25,000 only against Biden. And against Trump, she spent zero. Now, as I've said for months, there's Trump, and then there's everyone else. But there's the battle for number two, and that's between DeSantis and Haley. That's why I offered to host a debate between the two on the angle. Only one, Governor DeSantis, has responded, and he accepted. He joins me now. Governor, good to see you tonight. Why do you think Nikki Haley has not responded yet?
Well, she probably wouldn't like what the debate would be about. I mean, I think she has taken very, very establishment-oriented positions. We know she had the social media proposal to force everybody to give their names, which we know would be weaponized against conservatives. Anybody that's been alive for the last 3 or 4 years knows how that censorship regime works. She's also said no limits on immigration, that CEOs should determine our immigration policy. No, I think immigration policy should be what's in the best interest of the American people and American workers. She also took the side of Disney against the state of Florida and against us protecting our kids. We had a debate about making sure that our young kids in elementary school were not subjected to sexualized curriculum and transgender ideology. We were right to stand with the kids. Of course, she sided with the corporation. So I think she's just fundamentally out of step with Republican voters. I think she's relying on liberal media to prop her up. But I'm game for the debate. I'll debate any of these folks. I think that's what it's all about.
Yeah. You think Nikki Haley will respond to that? As you know, both DeSantis and Haley are polling well behind former President Donald Trump for the Republican nomination. Trump has so far boycotted every single debate. What do you think? Any chance at all that Nikki Haley faces off with DeSantis? By the way, one final note, the state newspaper today saying that Governor Haley took a little jab at the University of South Carolina after her alma mater, Clemson, won the annual Palmetto Bowl Saturday, which, of course, featured an appearance by former President Donald Trump. Haley jokingly said during remarks at a town hall event in Bluffton, South Carolina, which is outside of Hilton Head, "How did it work out for the Gamecocks having Trump show up?" she asked. "Not so lucky for the Gamecocks, just saying, go Tigers." Yes, Trump, of course, was the guest of Governor Henry McMaster, who is a University of South Carolina graduate. Clemson won the game 16-7. When Trump arrived Saturday at the Williams-Brice Stadium, he handed out boxes of popcorn to people on the concourse, later watched the first half of the game in a suite with the governor. Trump was recognized during the halftime of the game as he walked out to the 25-yard line, waved to the crowd. You could hear mostly cheering, but yes, there was some booing. There's a widely circulated video of some of the Clemson Tiger marching band booing the former president. Haley, of course, served as ambassador to the United Nations under Trump. She did not attend the game. She's a Clemson trustee and has attended other home games, but was not in Columbia Saturday night. Trump, of course, again has a dominant lead. Haley has become pretty much the clear second-place candidate in some of the early voting states, South Carolina, New Hampshire included. In an October Des Moines Register poll of Iowa voters, Haley was tied with Florida Governor Ron DeSantis for second place. We shall see. That's it for another edition of Just the Truth. Thanks for joining me in the PhD Weight Loss and Nutrition Studio. To lose weight for the last time, visit myphdweightloss.com. If you haven't joined our mailing list, visit my website, joeyhudson.com. Click on the Connect with Joey button so that you can receive our emails with the most up-to-date news. And I appreciate you spending some of your time today. Keep your comments coming via the Truth text line, 864-477-5639. Keep your emails coming as well, Joey at joeyhudson.com. Hope you have a great day. We're back again tomorrow. Until then, remember, God's got this. He's still in control.